We are here to address a terrible flaw in our election system. In the current system, the less popular candidate can win without a majority of the vote. I want the United States to once again reclaim its position as a leader in the movement for democracy, and Minnesota, being true to its motto as the North Star state, should once again lead the way. Today, we only require a plurality of the votes to win. So if there's more than two candidates, it's possible no one receives a majority. And then we simply give the victory to the one who receives more votes than the others, even though they don't receive a majority. This has led to a problem with spoiler candidates who siphon just enough votes away from the more popular candidate and throw the election to the less popular candidate. This is circumventing the will of the people. Ranked choice voting fixes this problem. Ranked choice voting requires that a candidate has to receive a majority of the vote in order to win. It ensures the will of the people will prevail.
I just want to talk a little bit about how ranked choice voting helps to allow for more grassroots, community-based candidates. These candidates can build coalitions through our communities. Building these coalitions leads to more positive issue-based campaigning and leads away from that sort of negative campaigning as you're attempting to try to get second or third choice voting. It takes away that negative campaigning that divides our communities and really turns voters off to the process. It also disincentivizes this huge amount of outside money we have flooding into our campaigns from using their own sort of points of view to divide us as well, and instead leads to more positive campaigning that lifts up the issues that are important to the candidates and our communities instead of pulling us apart. I think that's one of the most important pieces of ranked choice voting.
Now more than ever, we absolutely must break down the inequities in our voting system. We must open up the electoral process to new and diverse voices, and we have to give voters more power and more choice. I think we've seen across the state now how representation really does matter. And as we are building up legislatures that have more women, more diversity, more folks of color who are bringing in their issues, their stories, their communities, it is more important than ever before that we reform our voting practices in order to not only make it welcoming for them, but make it work for them as well.
I think that we all can realize and acknowledge that sometimes change feels a little bit strange. But the other thing about change is it gives an opportunity to realize how strange what we already do is. You know, sometimes change isn't as strange as what we already do and take as being normal. And when you look at our current electoral system, it doesn't serve the people, it serves the parties. And that ought to be strange to us. The two-party system is what's being held up by our current system, and that's what's potentially endangered by ranked choice voting. And I think that's wonderful. Especially because one of the tools that the two-party system is using nowadays is what Senator Eakin called the spoiler candidate. Now, we should know as candidates that we all have the responsibility to earn every single vote that we get, but voters can be tricked, I think, sometimes, and it doesn't serve their interest to have fraudulent candidates on ballots. So one of the great things that ranked choice voting will do is it will stop that practice of having fraud candidates on the ballots and let voters make real decisions about real candidates.
I agree with my friend Eric Putnam. Ranked choice voting does much to reform our political system, but remember, sometimes the third party is who we want. And the challenge then is often people who support a third party candidate may feel like they're throwing away their vote. With ranked choice voting, that doesn't happen anymore, and we can simply prioritize who we'd like to see in office. So I'm very much in favor of this. I join with my other colleagues on this press conference to thank you for your interest, and I really hope that we see some success in Minnesota as a state in the near future.
I support ranked choice voting as one of the basics that we need to spread, which is already spreading in the municipalities in Minnesota as well as other states. It's being used to guarantee a majority vote getter as the person that is going to be sworn into office. If you're concerned, or let's say if you like an alternative candidate, if you like our up and coming candidates, if you are concerned about spoilers, if you're concerned about a popular initiative that just can't seem to get the support, if you don't like negative campaigning, if you don't like the choices that are forced on you by the two major parties, ranked choice voting is your savior. Ranked choice voting ends all of those negatives and adds to the positives.
My whole adult life, there has been this phenomenon for those of us on the progressive spectrum of the political spectrum to see our politics be broadly popular amongst most people, but really being rejected by the powerful and moneyed interests in both parties. So I'm really interested to see how ranked choice voting can help with that, to allow people to vote their conscience, and then also to rank someone as a second choice, to have a fallback and to still have their voice heard and their vote matter, and not be not have the fear of having their idealistic vote be sort of thrown away. So people with ranked choice voting, people get to vote for conscience. And that, I think, is my favorite part of ranked choice voting. And the other thing I do also really like about it is that I feel that it really does provide for more issue-based civil debate. So you really get a sense, hopefully, because all of those candidates are seeking your vote, hopefully your first choice, but if not, then your second choice or your third choice, because they want to have one of your votes. They're going to keep things a little more positive and try to persuade you why you should vote for them, instead of why you shouldn't vote for other people.
In our democracy, however, too often voters feel as if they're voting for the lesser of two evils. Well, ranked choice voting allows you to vote for your favorite candidate and then rank the others. Your vote has meaning in that the election, because even though your preferred candidate is eliminated, your vote would go to the next choice that has an opportunity to win the election. So in ranked choice voting, every vote does count, which is the fundamental concept of democracy.
I believe that this ranked choice voting is going to, oops, somebody dare walked in front of my house, is going to allow our people, our folks of color and women and other disenfranchised groups to actually participate in an authentic and true way. And would hope that we can get this passed sooner than later, because we'd like to see a representation that really does mirror our communities and the issues and the priorities and values that we all have.
So while we do hold, some of the power, we need the support of the people of Minnesota to push this through, and to remind our colleagues that we are not interested in taking steps back in the fight for a stronger democracy.
We need to clearly explain to people what the problems are in the current system and how ranked choice voting fixes that and makes us a truly democratic system. So again, thank you all for being here, and thank you to my colleagues for their wonderful statements and the passion that you've shown for this initiative today. And